My friends laughed when they found out my fiancé cheated. Not a nervous laugh. Not a shocked laugh. A full, loud, stomach-clutching laugh like my heartbreak was stand-up comedy. The moment it happened is burned into my memory like a scar. There was this silence after I told them, one stretched-out, ugly second of stillness where I could hear the refrigerator humming in Jess's kitchen, the distant sound of traffic through her open window. Then Jess snorted, covered her mouth, and said, Wait, he cheated on you? With who? Oh my god, that's hilarious. Hilarious. I stood there holding my phone in one hand, the notification from the Nashville hotel still glowing on the screen, and my friends, people I trusted, laughed like it was the funniest thing they'd heard all year. Mariah actually slapped the counter. Kelly had tears streaming down her face from laughing so hard. And Jess? Jess looked at me with this expression I'd never seen before, something between pity and satisfaction, like she'd been waiting years for me to finally be the joke instead of just part of it. That was the night everything changed. I didn't cry in front of them. I didn't scream. I didn't ask why. I just stood there, feeling something inside me harden in a way that felt almost physical. Like a lock clicking shut deep in my chest. The sound of their laughter didn't fade when I left. It followed me down the stairs, into the parking lot, into my car where I sat for 20 minutes with my hands on the steering wheel, engine off, wondering how long they'd been waiting to laugh at me like that. Because here's the thing I don't admit often. I knew they didn't take me seriously. I knew they saw me as the emotional one, the sensitive one, the one they could tease because I never pushed back. I ignored small jabs, offhand comments, jokes with my name baked into the punchline. But this? Laughing when my fiancé cheated? That was something new. That was something I couldn't unknow. And while they were laughing, something else happened, something quiet, something sharp. I started planning. But first, I needed to understand what I was actually dealing with. I drove home that night and did something I'd never done before. I opened my laptop and started going through old text threads, old photos, old memories with fresh eyes. Not sentimental eyes. Investigative ones. The signs had always been there. Like the time 2 years ago when Jess accidentally sent a group text about me to the wrong chat. Ari's being dramatic again. So exhausting. She'd played it off as autocorrect. I'd believed her. Or the time Mariah told my ex-boyfriend I was too clingy when we were having problems, effectively ending that relationship before I could fix it. She'd said she was just being honest with him. I'd thanked her. Or the countless times Kelly had borrowed money, $50 here, $100 there, promising to pay me back, and never did. The total was somewhere around $2,000 now. I'd stopped counting because friends don't keep score. Except they did. They'd been keeping score the whole time. And I was always losing. I stayed up until 3 a.m. that night, documenting everything. Screenshots, dates, patterns. Not for revenge yet. Just to see if I was crazy. I wasn't. By sunrise, I had a folder on my desktop labeled Evidence, with enough material to write a dissertation on betrayal. That's when I made the decision. I didn't break up with Ethan immediately. Not because I wanted him. Not because I wanted to fix things. But because I needed time. I told him we needed space. He heard. She's going to forgive me. What I meant was, I need you out of the way for 3 weeks because you're about to be the center of a storm you didn't see coming. Ethan moved into the guest room. He tried to win me back with flowers, with apologies, with late-night attempts at conversation through the closed door. I let him try. Because a man trying to earn forgiveness is a man who stays predictable, manageable, unaware that forgiveness was never on the table. But before any of that, I need you to understand the people we're dealing with. Jess, Mariah, Kelly. They'd been my friends since college, bonded through bad dorm food, late-night study sessions, and years of pretending loyalty meant something. I used to think we were close, but adulthood has a way of peeling off the veneer. The version you show everyone else cracks first. What's underneath usually isn't pretty. Jess was the ringleader. The loud one. The one who always wanted to be the funniest person in the room. Even if humor meant digging the knife a little deeper. People liked her because she was entertaining. I liked her because she used to be kind. Or maybe I imagined that part. She'd been the first person I called when I got into grad school. The first person I told when my grandmother died. The person I trusted with passwords, spare keys, secrets I'd never told anyone else. And somewhere along the way, that trust had turned into a weapon she'd been sharpening against me. Mariah was the one who pretended to be everyone's therapist but talked about all of us behind our backs. She was charming in group settings, poisonous in private texts. I knew it, but I let it slide for years. That's on me. She had this way of asking questions that felt like care but were actually reconnaissance. How are things with Ethan? Are you guys okay? You seem stressed lately. Is work getting to you? I'm worried about you. You're not yourself. Every answer I gave her became ammunition she'd use later in conversations I wasn't part of. I found the proof in an old group chat she'd forgotten to delete me from, one with her book club friends, where she'd spent 6 months narrating my life like it was a reality show she was hate-watching. Kelly was the one who lied to survive. Little lies at first, white lies, harmless lies, stories that didn't add up. But they always grew. Like she couldn't stop. Like lying was her real language. She'd told us she had a master's degree. She didn't. She'd said her father was a surgeon. He was a sales manager at a car dealership. She'd claimed she was being headhunted by Google. She'd been rejected after the first phone screen. The lies weren't even strategic. They were reflexive, constant, like she'd trained herself to believe her own fiction. Here's the truth. I didn't need to dig for dirt. They'd all handed me pieces of themselves over the years without realizing they were giving me ammunition. I just never thought I'd use it. Until the night they laughed. After I left their apartment, I drove home in silence. No music, no crying, just a feeling like gravity had doubled. Every red light felt like it lasted an hour. Every street looked unfamiliar even though I'd driven this route 100 times. By the time I pulled into my driveway, my hands were aching from gripping the steering wheel so hard. When I got home, Ethan was sitting on the couch, pretending to be devastated. Ari, please. It was a mistake. I held up my hand. I'm not talking about this right now. He looked relieved, like silence meant hope. And here's where you might judge me. I didn't break up with him. Not then. Because I had one last thing I needed him for. Over the next 2 weeks, I played the role perfectly. Wounded but willing to heal. Quiet but not hostile. I let him think his apologies were working. I let him cook dinner, pick up my dry cleaning, buy me small gifts that felt like bargaining chips. And while he was performing remorse, I was gathering intelligence. I went through his laptop one afternoon while he was at work. Found the messages I needed. The ones between him and Jess. And that's when I discovered it wasn't just an affair. It was a joke. They had a running commentary about me. Ethan. She bought the flowers excuse. God. She's so trusting. Jess. I almost feel bad. Almost. Ethan. 3 more weeks until the wedding. Then we can figure out what we're actually doing. 3 more weeks. They were going to let me marry him. Let me walk down that aisle. Sign those papers. Bind my life to his. And then decide later whether to keep pretending or blow it all up after I was legally trapped. I sat there in my home office, reading their messages, and felt something colder than anger settle into my bones. Clarity. Pure, surgical clarity. 3 weeks later, Jess sent a message to our group chat. Rooftop party at my place. Theme. No secrets night. Bring drinks, bring vibes, bring your best selves. Jess loved themes. The irony nearly made me laugh. No secrets? Perfect. I told them I'd be there. Mariah responded immediately. Yes, I'll bring wine. Kelly, can't wait. Jess, Ari, you coming? Haven't seen you in forever. The false warmth in that text was almost impressive. Like the past 3 weeks hadn't happened. Like they hadn't laughed at my pain and then ghosted me when I stopped responding to their group chat messages. I'll be there, I typed back. Wouldn't miss it. Between that night and the party, something else happened, something small but important. Seeds I had ignored before suddenly looked like warning signs. Like the time Jess flirted with Ethan at a bar, leaning too close, laughing too loud, touching his arm like it was her property. I brushed it off then. I told myself she was just friendly. But friendly doesn't explain the way she'd look at me afterward. Like she was checking whether I noticed. I did. I just didn't want to believe it meant anything. I'd even defended her once when another friend pointed it out. Jess is just affectionate, I'd said. That's how she is with everyone. But she wasn't. I went back through photos from the past year. In every single group picture, Jess was positioned next to Ethan. Her hand on his shoulder, her body angled toward his. Her smile just a little brighter when he was in the frame. The evidence had been there all along. I'd just been too loyal to see it. Or maybe too afraid of what seeing it would mean. Until I walked into that rooftop party. And saw them. Ethan. Jess. Together. Her hand on his waist. His head tilted toward hers like he belonged there. Her laugh too loud, too intimate. They were standing by the rooftop railing, backlit by string lights, looking like a couple in a romantic movie. My stomach dropped. Not because I was surprised, but because seeing it, actually witnessing the confirmation of everything I'd suspected, hit differently than reading their texts. This was real. This was them choosing each other in public. At a party they knew I'd be attending. They didn't see me at first. I could have walked away. I could have turned around and pretended I didn't witness the confirmation of my worst suspicion. But then Jess looked up, and when she saw me, her smile sharpened into something cold, mocking, victorious. She didn't even have the decency to look guilty. She looked triumphant. Like she'd won something I didn't know we were competing for. Ethan saw me next. His face went pale. Like being caught in the wrong place at the wrong time with the wrong woman was somehow my fault. "Ariana," he stammered, stepping forward. Relax," I said. "I'm not here for you." I walked past them toward the bar like my heart wasn't trying to beat its way out of my chest. Jess whispered something to Ethan. He nodded. They thought I was broken. They had no idea I was armed. I ordered a drink I had no intention of finishing. Smiled at people I barely knew. Made small talk about the weather, about work, about anything except the bomb I was about to detonate. The rooftop filled with people. Music. Laughter. A warm breeze carrying the scent of expensive perfume and cheap beer. The perfect night to destroy 3 friendships and 1 engagement. I watched Jess work the crowd. She was good at this, playing hostess, making people feel welcome, being the center of attention without seeming desperate for it. Mariah was holding court near the snack table, playing therapist to some guy I didn't recognize. Kelly was taking selfies, probably preparing captions about what an amazing night she was having with her amazing friends. They had no idea what was coming. When the crowd grew loud enough, when everyone was drunk enough to have their phones out but sober enough to remember this, I tapped the microphone Jess kept by her outdoor sound system. The music cut, people turned, phones lifted. I smiled, calm in a way that didn't feel like me at all. "I brought a little game for tonight," I said. "Since it's no secrets night, I thought we'd start with a few truths." Jess tensed. I saw it. A flicker in her eyes like a prey animal sensing the wrong kind of quiet in a forest. Ethan had gone completely still near the railing. Mariah's smile had frozen on her face. I pulled out my phone and tapped a button. Jess's voice came through the speakers instantly. Bright and cruel. "Oh my God, Ariana is so delusional." Ethan told me she was getting clingy, but I didn't think she'd actually believe he loved her. The rooftop went silent. Someone gasped. Jess's face drained of color. I played the next clip before she could reach me. Jess again. "I've been sleeping with Ethan for 6 months. She has no idea." Honestly, it's hilarious watching her try. The word hilarious echoed across the rooftop. The same word she'd used when I told her about the cheating. Full circle. Ethan's face went sheet white. "Jess," he choked. "You said you told me." Jess lunged for my phone. I stepped back. Smooth. Controlled. "You laughed," I said quietly, every word slicing the air, "when I told you he cheated. Because you were the other woman." The rooftop erupted, shocked voices, whispers, camera clicks. Ethan backed away from Jess like she was a live wire. "You said it didn't mean anything," he shouted. His voice cracked on the last word. Jess's face crumpled into panic. She looked around wildly, like she was searching for an exit that didn't exist. I tilted my head. "Oh, Ethan, you weren't just a cheater. You were the punchline to her joke, too." The crowd swallowed the moment whole. Someone was recording. Multiple people were recording. This would be online in minutes. And I wasn't done. I looked at Mariah next. "Since we're telling the truth, let's address something else." Mariah's eyes widened. She knew what was coming. I played a clip of her voice, one she left on my voicemail by accident months ago. Ariana's sweet but pathetic. God, she's so easy to manipulate. I only hang out with her because she makes me look stable in comparison. Mariah's hand flew to her face like she could hide from the entire rooftop. The guy she'd been talking to stepped away from her. Someone muttered, "That's messed up." But I didn't expose anything criminal, just her real personality. The one she tried to hide behind fake empathy. Then I turned to Kelly. She was already backing toward the door. I didn't need audio for her. I simply said, "Kelly has not been promoted 3 times this year. She's not a senior marketing analyst. She's been lying about her job title for months." Kelly froze. Her coworkers were in the crowd. One of them whispered, "Is that true?" Another one pulled out their phone, probably checking LinkedIn. Kelly's face collapsed. "That's not I can explain." But no one was listening to her anymore. But the biggest explosion had already happened. Jess and Ethan stood there like a collapsed empire ruins where their smugness used to be. Jess screaming now, actually screaming, "You had no right. You." Ethan trying to distance himself, hands up like he could physically push away association. I didn't know she was recording us. A relationship built on lies eating itself alive in front of 50 witnesses with smartphones. I didn't need to stay for the fallout. I set the microphone down gently, like I was placing a chess piece after checkmate, picked up my purse, and walked toward the exit. Jess tried to grab my arm. "We need to talk." I pulled away without looking at her. "No, we really don't." I walked out while the rooftop shook with gossip and chaos behind me. My heart was steady. My hands didn't shake. I didn't feel triumphant. I didn't feel broken. I felt free. The elevator ride down was the quietest 60 seconds of my life. Just me and my reflection in the metal doors. I looked the same. But something fundamental had shifted. I wasn't the girl who'd walked into that party. I was someone else now. Someone who'd stopped begging for scraps of loyalty from people who were never really friends. 2 days later, I got confirmation of the consequences. Not all of them. Just the important one. I ran into a mutual friend at the coffee shop. She saw me and immediately walked over, eyes wide. "Oh my God, Ariana, are you okay?" "I'm fine," I said, and meant it. She lowered her voice. "I heard about what happened at Jess's party. It's all over Instagram. Someone posted the video." "Good," I said. She blinked. "Good? People should know the truth." She nodded slowly. "Well, for what it's worth, Jess and Ethan had a full-blown public breakup the next day." He called her a manipulative joke. She threw his phone off her balcony. "Nobody's talking to her now." That was enough. The rest? I don't need revenge reports. I don't need updates. I don't need to hear Jess crying or Ethan blaming her. I don't care. The video circulated for a week. I got messages from people I hadn't talked to in years. Some supportive. Some just curious. Some asking for details I had no intention of sharing. I ignored most of them. Changed my phone number. Deleted social media for a month. And slowly, quietly, I started rebuilding. What I care about is what came after. I got a new apartment. Smaller than the one I'd shared with Ethan. But it was mine. All mine. No ghosts in the corners. No memories soaked into the carpet. I painted the walls colors I actually liked: deep green in the bedroom, soft gray in the living room. Bought furniture that felt like me instead of us. Started saying no to things I didn't want to do. Started saying yes to things I'd been too afraid to try. Signed up for a pottery class. Adopted a cat who hated everyone except me. Learned that loneliness and aloneness are not the same thing. Last week, Jess texted me from a new number. "Can we talk, please? I miss you." I stared at it for a long time. Then I deleted it. Not out of anger. Out of something quieter. Self-respect. The girl who used to beg for crumbs of approval doesn't live here anymore. She died on a rooftop in front of 50 witnesses. And the person who walked away? She's not interested in resurrections. The people who laughed at my heartbreak are still laughing. Just not at me. And honestly, I don't think about them much anymore. Not with anger. Not with satisfaction. Just with the quiet certainty that some people are only meant to teach you what you won't tolerate. They taught me well. And I'm grateful for the lesson. Even if I'll never thank them for it.